not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nubs. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still lights of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry R. women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Keys, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
Good morning. Been doing so many morning shows. I just kind of went into autopilot right there. Good evening, 10:37 p.m. Welcome to a new month. Welcome to December 1st, 2025. And November was a good month on Housatonic.live. Usually the first day of the month on this channel, which is a research and archival channel with a very strong bend on getting more people to be aware of the scale of the fatal drug overdose epidemic crisis in the United States of America. Something that I think everyone in social media, most people on social media are paid actors, paid influencers. And it is their job to make sure that people don't talk about the most important things. Matter of fact, the revolution will not be televised, because what's going to be televised is the things that the influencers and the, I don't know what words to use, but ruling class, people with resources, etc., they are going to show you the things that you should be concerned about. They're going to show you about the dog in the tree. They're going to show you about the damsel in distress. They're going to show you about, oh my goodness, here's this one crime involving a police officer, which may be an individual tragedy, but it's being used to exploit something. They're going to show you someone that has a weird fever, a strange fever, strange flu, strange symptoms. They're going to show you about the maybe someone of an unusual religion that maybe you should be more afraid of. They're going to show you about someone who maybe feels too confident in the way the United States was. They're going to televise that. They're going to broadcast that. And yes, 1 million drug overdose deaths in the United States of America just of opioids in this opioid epidemic over this last 14 years or so, and with the last few years having over 100,000 a year, and with that being the key reason life expectancy has gone down, is something that does not get televised, because the revolution won't be televised. The revolution will not be televised. It's not going to be on the internet, and it's not going to be spoken by Candace Owens, because Candace Owens is not the revolution. Candace Owens is what's on television. Candace Owens is what's televised. Candace Owens is a damsel in distress. And Candace Owens is now afraid of, first she was afraid of her life to be taken by Jews or Israelis or Christian Zionists or people connected with Turning Point or people connected with this or people used to like Trump or maybe MAGA people or this. And now it's France and Macron, and because she calls out the president of France as having some masculine characteristics or something like that, and therefore hit is being put out on her to kill her. Really, it's so crazy. Look, if there was an American that did say some disparaging things about a foreign person, and then someone in that other country, maybe even with the sponsorship of that government, got involved and killed that person, that's a serious issue. But here's the thing. The television is going to televise. The internet is going to broadcast. The podcasters are going to talk about the things that they want you to talk about. And let me tell you what. Should Candace Owens actually get killed, they want you to talk about the fear of that or of that happening more than 1 million drug overdose deaths. That they want that. They will pay for that type of entertainment. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I don't hope anyone gets injured like that, okay? But that's where we are at right now. They want that drama out there. Candace Owens, I underestimated how much was invested in her. She is going to be a pivotal person in the orchestrated, televised downfall, deconstruction of the United States of America. And I think, but I've learned a little trick here, okay? And I'm just going to spill the beans right up front, okay? If you want to know, not everything, but if you want to know among the most important things that are happening every day right now in the world, you'll still miss a lot, okay? But this is all you need to do. Listen to the Candace Owens show. Write down the top keywords of things that she wants people to focus on, whether it's Williamsburg, whether it's Ukraine, Jeffrey Epstein, let's see here, the Macron's wife, weapon sales. Just write those keywords down and then do a compound search on that with India. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. And you will learn about the 90-something% of the world that you're missing right now. Now, it's not that India is the only thing you need to know in the world. But I have been working under this assumption, not an assumption, but an educated hypothesis that money from India, and which is, I think, right now often overlapped with the United Nations money, and the old East India Company, British East India Company if you prefer, pays people like Candace Owens to distract and talk about everything in a context that does not include India. So, for example, you'll have noticed that there is President Macron and his wife just over the last several years have been closer to India than anybody else. Nobody knows this. France is in the process of, they announced 2 years ago, and they just clarified it a few weeks ago, they are going to be building their fighter jets in India. India right now is actually working directly with Macron to be able to modify the source code and make their own source code to customize their jets. The fighter jets, which are going to be provided to Armenia right now, are going to be technology from France. Now, you wouldn't know this because in the United States of America, you're concerned about Candace Owens either being racist or Candace Owens getting killed because she's looking at the manly hens and the suspicious package between the legs of the wife of President Macron. Now, I don't know if you know, I don't like to speculate about these types of things, okay? That's their business. That's their business. You know, what are you going to do? It's not even our country, first off. I live in the United States. I'm an American. I'm married to an American. I'm not interested. I can barely figure out what's going on in my own country. And I actually am not interested in what's going on in India. I need to fix what's going on in the United States first. I understand how that hypocrisy could be there, but I can see how much of the control of these narratives seems to be coming from outside. Candace Owens will not say India because India will not be televised. The truth will not be televised. The revolution is not going to be televised. And here we are. So, see, the other day, what was it was the big topic the other day was Delaware and Wilmington. I heard her say Wilmington. I think I actually counted it like 22 or 23 times in one episode. And I looked up, and oh my goodness, there was a summit with Prime Minister Modi of India with Biden, and then the leaders of Australia and Japan were there in Wilmington, not too long before that, in some Quads Nation summit. And then just like that, boom, next 3 shows, Candace Owens did not say the word Wilmington because her staff watches me, and I'm pissing them off right now. But this is how it works, okay? And now she brought up the Wilmington thing again today. No kidding. The DuPont family settled. They had big estates in Delaware. Jeez Louise, you know? You're surprised that there's a France connection in Delaware? Really? The DuPonts lived there. Whatever the case. So that's all you need to do. And I found at least 8 shows. Did you know that while everyone is yelling about Ukraine being involved or somehow, Putin just broke a big some ice, and within the last 24 hours just went to India again for the first time. Huge top story in India that most Americans don't know about. While most Americans are only hearing about Israel, Israel is almost making it public right now that their future is India. Now, it is becoming more and more evident that India's potential few optimal trade routes to Europe, maybe even to the United States, do go through Israel. So there is some encouragement, I believe, for the United States maybe to continue to support Israel, but India would benefit otherwise. The rare earth battle, I hear that come up from time to time. India is making major advances right now in rare earths to compete with China. India's economy right now continues to be the fastest growing economy in the world. I think it's 8% GDP growth right now. It is ridiculous. Candace Owens today highlighted some American on a peanut butter and jelly show. I don't know. The show is hosted by a man who says he's Armenian, something Peter Ben David or David Bakes. I don't know. PBD, peanut butter and jelly, I don't know, whatever, okay? And I can't help but think that the guy actually looks Indian. I think he says he's Armenian. I don't know. But whatever the case, look at what's not being said there. Just look at the Candace Owens show and the other, paid actors around her. They all have one thing in common. Just go down the list. Sri Lanka, India, don't exist. They just don't exist. You won't talk about them. Everything's about Ukraine, Israel, Pakistan, Russia, China. That's kind of remarkable how every nation around India can be spoken about, but India is never spoken about. So Candace Owens sort of becomes this, you use Candace Owens as like a decoder ring, the Candace Owens decoder ring. Just take whatever she's talking about or what she thinks is going to kill her that day and start doing compound searches with India. And then you'll find the international news, which you don't hear in the United States anymore. Most of the media in the United States right now is almost a total blackout on India. That blackout applies to both the left and the right. The right don't talk India. Just don't talk. Alt media really don't talk India. On the left, every once in a while you can say India is growing and we need more immigrants from India. That's what you'll hear on the left, and that's it. Okay, these are the world views which you're allowed within the United States of America right now. Now, going back to what I said was one of my missions here, the overdose awareness. Which nations have the worst fatal drug overdose rates in the world? You wouldn't believe it, but number one is Pakistan. What are the odds of that? Now, Afghanistan is actually low. Now, that's kind of odd. I thought all the poppy was grown in Afghanistan. But somehow, by the time it gets to Pakistan, it starts to kill people. It's almost as if the fatal drug overdoses seem to be correlated with places that India is having stressful diplomatic relations with. And the number 2 place in the world is the United States of America. Historically speaking, everyone loves to talk about the opium wars with China, but I've been doing a little bit of digging. Most of the opium actually came through India. Mumbai was built on opium. No one talks about this. It's just, the Chinese and their opium, the opium wars in China and opium. Now, I've brought this up to a couple people today. I said, I can't believe that most of the opium actually used to come out of India. You know what their response is? Oh, well, it's really Britain. So I've been checking off my list of people that I can trust lately. It's like, so there are some people I thought I could trust. The moment I say India, they're like, well, it's actually Britain. Now, I didn't say it's only India. But why such a clarification? If I were to say the opium is so much about Britain, they would never say, well, it did come through India. I'll never hear anyone say that. That's just, whatever. Just ignore India. Now, if you look at the history of Candace Owens, the history of Candace Owens suggests that she was picked up sometime around 2008, 2009. I think her Wikipedia page is very, very telling. Shout out to Jonathan J. Cooey, PhD, GigaOhm Biological. He said some kind things about me today. He doesn't have to say kind things about me, but he did, and thank you. Great show today. And he started off by playing a clip of Candace Owens selling this this anti-doxing whatever software service. Let me pull it up here. Oh my goodness, these mouse pointers. Apple, why do you do this? Why do you do this? Why do you do this to me? Okay, come on. Close that window. Let us go up to the top. Let's just type in Candace Owens, Candace. No. CAN. No, I'm not going to give you a dime. So Candace Owens here. Far-right commentator, blah, 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 blah. We don't need to do stuff. So she grew up in White Plains, New York. I should say born in White Plains, New York, and grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. Grandparents, raised mostly by her grandparents from around 11 or 12 after her parents divorced. And let's see here. She's a graduate of Stanford High School in 2007, while a 17-year-old at Stanford High School. Stanford is one of the wealthiest areas in the nation. Stanford is loaded. Stanford is right next to Greenwich, which is even more loaded. Martha Stewart doesn't live too far from Stanford. This is the rich area of the United States of America. Before I go any further, I'm gonna and I talk about Candace Owens' little strategy. And Candace Owens, she says she's born April 12th, 1989, age 36. This is gonna sound, this is speculation, but someone who is 39 years old right now, approximately, is a woman who says she was born in China named Li Mengyan. Now, I don't believe Li Mengyan knows how to speak Mandarin. And the longer I listen to Li Mengyan, I have found moments where she sounds less and less obnoxious, and I can hear her say things, and her inflection, because I grew up in Southern Connecticut, I've never before heard someone and said, you know what, I think they used to live in Connecticut. I believe Li Mengyan grew up in the same area that Candace Owens did, and I am now starting to speculate about the possibility that they were either classmates or neighbors. Now, Li Mengyan is probably 2 or 3 years older. Li Mengyan must have needed to have been maybe homeschooled or something similar. She needed to have been in a situation where there wouldn't be a lot of yearbook photos of her, but I suspect that either they knew each other or they were probably no more than 1 or 2 hops apart from each other. Li Mengyan sounds like an American who is working really hard to have a fake Chinese accent. I don't think she knows how to speak Mandarin. And she's working as an intelligent asset. Now, this is relevant. This is relevant because good to see you there, Candace. Good to see you there, Pete. This stuff is pretty crazy, I know. Because Li Mengyan married into a Sri Lankan family. And not just any Sri Lankan family, but a senior Sri Lankan PhD Cancer Research Institute family. A Sri Lankan family that has worked with the top levels of worldwide intelligence and the very people that first discovered and isolated SARS-CoV-1. So, and that Sri Lankan family is also, I believe, welcome and celebrated in India. So, Li Mengyan was then brought to the United States by none other than Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon flew Li Mengyan to the United States officially. Steve Bannon put Li Mengyan on a stage and said she should run for Senate in New York State. And why would she go to New York State? It's almost as if maybe she used to live in New York State. Maybe she used to live in White Plains or someplace like that. I can recognize someone from New York City metro area and Southern Connecticut faking a Chinese accent. And there's a 1 hour, 45-minute interview with Li Mengyan talking to Kevin McCairn out in Japan, who hasn't broadcasted in a while. And I was listening to it when I was working on one of my outside projects here. And the longer I listened to it, I just kept thinking to myself, man, this Li Mengyan sounds like someone I could have gone to high school with myself. There was just something about the words she used, her word inflections, and so on. It would make a lot of sense because Candace Owens was born in White Plains and grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. The other crazy part is, I think, a big part of the talent agency and of the coaching given to Candace Owens came from either Harvey Weinstein or Steve Bannon himself. So I believe Steve Bannon has played a role in both the discovery of and the coaching of Candace Owens and Li Mengyan. It would make a lot of sense, and I think it's possible that they've known each other, maybe lived on the same street, or something like that. Of course, Li Mengyan, that's her alter ego, her fake identity, whatever. But that's why she got married in New York City, in Manhattan. But let's look at Candace Owens' story here. And it's good to have you guys here as we talk through this. Again, I did a video today where I said, I see a big long chat here. Hello, Katoom Bear Review. Watching Jonathan this morning, he reminded us of what a fraud Vinay Prasad is. Yeah, he's a total fraud. He's a total fraud. Good to have you guys here. Just checking in the chat there. So Candace Owens, Stanford High School, in the year 2007, while a 17-year-old senior, while she was 17 at high school, Owens received 3 racist death threat voicemail messages totaling 2 minutes from a group of white male classmates, which included the son of then mayor and future Democrat governor Daniel Malloy. Joshua Starr, the city superintendent of schools, listened to the voicemail messages and said they were horrendous. Owens' family sued the Stanford Board of Education federal court, alleging that the city did not protect her rights, resulting in a $37,000 settlement in January 2008. Something about that story it's just weird. So the white classmates, Democrat governor. So the Democrat governor, you're talking about a liberal governor. A liberal governor is going to have liberal kids. Liberal kids are going to call up a black woman, a young black woman, and leave life-threatening voicemails on her. That just doesn't make any sense. It could happen. It could happen, but it's unlikely. It's just unlikely. But let's just roll with it, okay, and say that it did happen. And again, is she dead? I mean, I don't mean to be too much of a jerk, but how many times can you say that your life is threatened? When you're in this fight and you have dead family members that can't get 10 seconds or 10 microseconds of any visibility day after day because you say, Candace Owens, that your life is being threatened again, eventually it gets kind of old. Grow up a little bit. Just grow up, okay? You think you're the only person that's feeling a little uncomfortable here? I don't want anything bad to happen to you. But you can only say it so many times. So then she joined a journalism undergraduate degree, journalism school, University of Rhode Island. She dropped out after junior year, saying she had an issue with a student loan. What? And then after leaving college, she worked for intern for Vogue. And this is where it gets interesting. Then she took a job in 2012 as an administrative assistant for a private equity firm in Manhattan. And then she became its vice president of administration. Really? So she's a college dropout that within a couple of years becomes a vice president of administration in a private equity firm in New York City in Manhattan. It could happen. It could happen. Now, vice president of administration, we don't know. That's something that may be paid $50,000 a year. She could have been paid $2 million a year. I haven't looked into it, but that's a pretty good track record. So then, in 2015, this is the one where Jonathan Cooey played the video for. Thank you to whoever shared the link earlier. Candace Owens was CEO. She was a CEO of Degree 180, a marketing agency that offered consultation, production, planning services that included a blog on a variety of topics written by Owens and other commentators. So she goes right into blogging. 2015 column that Owens wrote on the site, she criticized conservative Republicans about the batshit crazy antics of the Republican Tea Party. And then she said, the good news is that they will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep, we hope. This is her exact quote. The good news is that the conservative Republicans, or the good news is that the Tea Party, they will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep, we hope, and then we can get right on with the obvious social change that needs to happen immediately. Let me just read that sentence one more time, because these are the words that came out of the woman who is constantly in the shadow of the cross that our Savior Jesus Christ was killed on. In a 2015 column that Owens wrote for the site, she criticized conservative Republicans writing about the batshit crazy antics of Republican Tea Party. She also added that, quote, the good news is they meaning the Tea Party, or they meaning the conservative Republicans, will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep, we hope, and then we can get right on with the obvious social change that needs to happen immediately. And she was also critical of Donald Trump, and an article mocking Donald Trump's penis size. Okay. Now, I don't know is there a limit on how much you should be talking about penises? Because when she's talking about Donald Trump's penis size, she's talking about Macron's wife having a penis. It's really. I would like to see more women represented, more women to be successful and well represented in the fields of sciences and technology and engineering. I'm a big believer. I've said it many times. I'm not looking for people to focus their careers. I still think the family is really important, but I think that I'm a believer in that. I would like to see more women in government. I would like to see more women as book authors, as analysts, and so on. And I say so because there are different ways that different people approach problems. And I think it would be wonderful if there were women who were successful and then could be seen favorably and as role models for other young women growing up. And Candace Owens, if she's talking all the time about penises, then it is I believe that is a bad role model. That is a bad role model. If you're a man, you shouldn't be talking about other men's penises all the time. And while, we have this male problem of thinking about women's stuff all the time, okay, you act professional. You will yourself into character to get by that. But talking about penises all the time, whether it's Trump's penis or Macron's wife's penis or whether it's Obama's penis, is like, what is wrong with you? Go back to high school and be a little kid. You should not be the role model for other young women. You should not be if you're talking about penises all the time. What is wrong with you? If you want to joke offline about it, fine. Okay, but you on the air professionally, come on. So at this point, and so then afterwards, this is where it gets interesting. Then Candace Owens launched Social Autopsy in 2016, a website that would expose bullies on the internet by tracking their digital footprint. This is the one where Jonathan Cooey's actually showed her. The site would have solicited users to take screenshots of offensive posts and send them to the website where they would be categorized by the user's name. So basically, it's some sort of public shaming. And it's a list that would encourage doxing and retaliatory statements. I don't know. Both conservatives and progressives condemn the site. Now, let's look at the response. In response, people began posting Candace Owens' private details online. You can get almost anybody's birth date and address and cell phone number for $20 to $30 for a report on whitepages.com. Okay? Anybody can get anyone else's phone number. That's the way it is right now. Posting the phone number online does not mean more people are going to call you. All it means is that someone else who does want to call you will no longer have to pay a $30 fee. That's it. That's it. And if someone is willing to, I don't know, maybe go to jail or do something crazy to get to you, a $30 credit card fee or something that be paid with PayPal is not the biggest impediment. So this whole thing about, you don't want to share my address online. Look, this is something that's changed in the world and people need to deal with it at some point. So with scant evidence, Candace Owens blamed doxing on progressives. Following that, she earned the support of conservatives involved in the Gamergate harassment campaign, including right-wing political commentators such as Milo Yiannopoulos and Mike Cernovich. And I love this because Milo Yiannopoulos and Mike Cernovich, here we are with the Steve Bannon crowd. So this means and Milo Yiannopoulos is on the early COVID survivors list. He was one of the first people in the world to get COVID and survive. I don't know about Cernovich, though. Milo Yiannopoulos was on the War Room. He talked about his COVID experience and surviving it early in War Room. And, also it was Steve Pachenik was another person, another early COVID survivor, one of the earliest, in fact, along with Kevin McCairn, who, believe it or not, interviewed Li Meng Yan. Interesting. Kevin McCairn, earlycovidsurvivors.com, was the first person in all of Japan to get COVID, and he survived. That's crazy because Li Meng Yan, I was just speculating about openly, being brought to the United States of America by Steve Bannon, I think might have been a childhood friend of Candace Owens. Because I don't think Li Meng Yan knows how to speak a lick of Mandarin. And the longer I hear her talk, I hear inflections in the way she speaks, which is very specific to Southern New York or Connecticut or some small areas of New Jersey. It's not even Long Island. I have family that lives in Long Island. They don't talk like that. I've had relatives live in Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. They don't talk like that. I have friends that have lived in many areas of New Jersey. They don't talk like that. There was something about the way Li Meng Yan talks that is very specific to two specific counties in New York State, north of New York City, or Greenwich, Connecticut, or areas up to but not past Bridgeport. I can triangulate the area where Li Meng Yan grew up just through listening to her. And that's exactly where Candace Owens grew up. I believe Li Meng Yan is a childhood friend of sorts. And given the fact that Steve Bannon brought Li Meng Yan into the United States and that Milo Yiannopoulos and Mike Cernovich are reaching out, with a shoulder to cry on to a young Candace Owens here after she was disappointed in her other startup efforts but already made some money, I think Steve Bannon played a role in both the courting of and the development of Candace Owens and Li Meng Yan. And the timelines also work out very perfectly. Now, if you look at the other people that Candace Owens then started to interview on her show, on the show that she had at PragerU, the Candace Owens show, she interviewed Mike Pence. She interviewed who's the eye patch representative? I can't think of the guy's name down in Texas. I don't trust him any further than I can pull that eye patch out. And Roseanne Barr and Adam Carolla. The longtime Kathy Griffin Man Show friend. And I can show you these videos. They're still on YouTube. Renshaw, Cranchak. I don't know, Cranberry, whatever the hell his name is. Yes, exactly. Pence is disgusting. Pence is Pence. I don't know. I've never quite figured him out. Maybe some of the actors are okay. And then there was another name on there that, I couldn't even believe it, that really sealed the deal for me. It is a relatively unknown name. Let me see. I will... I will actually pop open a few of the videos for you. I'm going to have to open up a chat window over here because I actually texted these videos somewhere else here. The Crenshaw one, you can find the, where's the one? Let's look at this one here. Look at this one. Eric Prince. So, yeah, she interviewed Eric Prince. Oh, jeepers. Now I got to cover that up so you don't see how many letters are in my... I wonder why this computer signed me out of everything. So this is Candace Owens with Eric Prince. This was all, by the way, in December 22nd, 2019. Wow. So this is right before the pandemic. So she was being queued up right before the pandemic with all of this stuff here. Let's see, what's another one of the big ones here? Okay. Here's the Roseanne Barr interview. Now, she did about 100 to 150 interviews. You don't have to watch them all. This one was done, this is March 3rd, 2019. So 2019 is the year where Candace Owens is being, I guess they've figured out that they're going to use her, okay, as part of the narrative for COVID and as part of the destruction of the United States of America. Candace Owens will be used to do shows where she will bash Israel. She will then bash France. She will then talk about pedophiles. She will then talk about Republicans and Trump. She will then maybe say we need to fear China. And, you know, she's going to go through this rotation where every day or every other week she's going to say her life is being threatened by somebody. And all you need to do is then you take the thing that Candace Owens says is going to kill her that day and do a compound search of that with India, and then limit it to maybe, let's say, the last 3 to 5 days of videos on YouTube, and you'll figure out what world event of consequence is happening at that time that Candace Owens says, "Look at me, somebody's gonna kill me today. Oh, today it's gonna be Macron. Yesterday it was Epstein, friends. Oh, today she actually wore an outfit that was reminiscent of Snow White. I can't believe it. It is hilarious. But this is the level that we're at right now. Okay? This is where we are at. We are at the back of the bricks at the end of the back of the theater, as Jonathan Gooey would say, okay? This is it. They have hired people, and now they are paying millions of dollars to get fake accounts so that people believe that her growth is organic. It's not. Candace Owens is not organic. She's not honest. She's being used to destroy the United States of America. And every time somebody says that she's a truth teller, that person, too, should also be called into question. And I'm sorry to do this here, but I have to be very frank. George Webb is absolutely part of this. George Webb is absolutely part of this. If you look at George Webb's video history, he will only bash Pakistan and Bad Mossad. George Webb will never, ever talk about India because George Webb, like Candace Owens, is paid to not talk about India. That's just the way it is. And George Webb is saying Candace Owens is the most honest person that has ever walked the planet Earth. He says that, and that obviously must be true because people follow her. Well, people are following her because they're being paid. Now it gets worse here because there's an element to podcasting that only now we are starting to figure out, guys. We're only now starting to figure it out. As Jonathan Cooey highlighted today, very astutely, it is not reasonable for people to think that the Venetians and Julius Caesar and the Romans, space aliens, and Rothschilds rule the world. They control all the banking, and the Jews. All the banking and everything you do and everything you see, they control it all. They have a 100-year plan. There's no hope. But at the same time, think that, some transvestite, autistic people, such as Elon Musk, came out and created an untrackable payment system on the internet. It is not a rational thing to believe that what Elon Musk and Thiel came up with was so innovative and powerful that the banking system that controls the entire world simply couldn't control it. That is an irrational thing to believe. In other words, it was allowed. They wanted people to think that all of this payment systems that were going to pop up on the internet that were completely untrackable, they were just out of the control of the banks. And this is where the new mafia, they even use the word PayPal mafia. Follow me here. Follow me here. How do you think Candace Owens really gets paid? Who do you think really pays George Webb's Substack accounts? Who do you think really pays money to Steve Bannon? Where do you think this money really comes from? Do you really believe that there's $1 million of people giving money every 28 days or 30 days to read Robert Malone's Substack account? No. The money comes from fictional, untraceable entities. Untraceable money is used to pay for podcasters. Untraceable money is used for public influence. There's no limit on how much money they can get. And then they use people and fake money to suggest popularity, and then people will actually volunteer their retirement accounts saying, this is the right way to give money. Now, public influence used to be paid. I'm glad you just keep, Katniss, just keep reposting that, because this is getting so hot. It's going to burn. It's going to burn your face. This stuff gets hot, guys. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. How did the media used to get paid? Who used to pay political candidates? Where did the money used to come from? Because they certainly never raised hundreds of millions of dollars to run the Democrat National Party from everyday people. First, it used to come from kickbacks. I should say it used to come from skim money and kickbacks and money that was being laundered through Las Vegas and Reno. Teamsters unions, state pension funds, they used to they would get extra money, okay? They would get kickbacks if they invested in Las Vegas and so on. They would get extra security. They would also get extra political control. But then somebody came along and had an idea in the 1980s. A guy decided, you know what? Why should we use mafia money and Teamster money and union money and launder that through the casinos in Las Vegas? Because we can launder a lot more money if we just build. Somebody in the chat, type in the name that I'm going to say, because I've said it the last couple of weeks. Somebody came up with the idea of making really big hotels that could start laundering more money from banks and private equity. And at that time, they stopped using loans from Teamsters and unions and other blue-collar people. Kirk Kerkorian innovated the big casino. Kirk Kerkorian realized that you could work directly with big banks and global institutions and launder that money. And that is the time, strangely enough, union membership started to go down, and money to the top 1% of Americans started to go up. Real estate, of course, benefited from that as well. Because now the Democrat National Party responds to global interests and banking interests and not unions and blue-collar people anymore. Kirk Kerkorian. Now, I'm not sure that it was an intentional thing. He was an investor. It might have just simply been an unexpected consequence of that. But Las Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world. Las Vegas is where the movie makers went. Las Vegas is where entertainment managers went. And Kirk Kerkorian provided all kinds of management advice to who? Harvey Weinstein and Steve Bannon. The money laundering can be done even bigger through podcasters. Podcasting and substacking right now is a money laundering operation, folks. The money comes from unknown places to pay people to pretend to be your friend, to distract you, to lie, and to deceive. At this side of the camera, I can tell you how little money no money this brings in. I can tell you. I never realized that it would be there's almost no limit because they're working with fictional money. They can take laundered money from anywhere and pipe it through PayPal, and they can feed anybody. If Candace Owens needs another $1 million, all they need to do is open up an app on their phone, and Candace Owens will get another $1 million. They just need to make sure that it doesn't look too suspicious. I believe Candace Owens is paid by the UN and India. I believe Steve Bannon's interests and employment align with the United Nations and India. He'll never say it, but I believe it does. I think Tucker Carlson, Harvey Weinstein, isn't that strange? Because Tucker Carlson is beloved by Candace Owens. Tucker Carlson is beloved by Steve Bannon. Tucker Carlson and Harvey Weinstein created a magazine together called Talk, which got a lot of startup capital from places like MGM, which was once owned by Kirk Kerkorian. This is what we're up against. This is what we are up against. Money laundering at a scale it's almost infinite. Ian Carroll right now is definitely a big part of this as well. You know, you go through the auditions, you pass the tests, you show consistency. Eventually, you prove yourself. You prove yourself reliable enough. But they're not paid by real people. Now, the frustrating, sad thing is that they get a lot of money that it's seed money. Okay, it creates momentum and it creates fake viewers, which in turn causes other people to get swept up in believing that there's a big movement going on, that Candace Owens is the real deal, that she's telling the truth. So other people, without the time and the sophistication to figure all this stuff out, they'll listen to Candace Owens and they will be compelled to send her thousands of dollars. I would suspect that just today, honest, hardworking people probably sent her somewhere between, if you just look at the super chats, somewhere to probably between $5 to, I would guess, is up to $50,000 a day is being sent to her right now. Real money. And at some point, they may not even need to launder extra money through her. You know, you just get it going. If I could just have 1% of the real money that goes to her, of other people that were fooled thinking that this is the real deal, I could have a whole functional operation here. And it's sad. I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at her audience. They don't know. If I just woke up and got into this world right now, I wouldn't know any better either. So how to decode Candace Owens and know what in the world is really happening right now? It's simple. Just do a compound search of India. Everything's going through India right now. The India arms sales to Armenia matter. The India conflict with Pakistan is picking up. India's work with is increasing their manufacturing of rare earths. India has built several Air Force bases within the last year. India is on course to take control of the Baku Air Force Base. You know, the one that the United States left? With those hoax photos of people holding onto the wheels as the planes are taking off. So, and now look at what happened to all of that military equipment. You know, what happened to all of that military equipment that the United States left in Afghanistan? It went to the Taliban. Do you know that right now the Taliban just announced 5 years that if you're Indian, you can go to Afghanistan and the Taliban will let you work in Afghanistan for free for 5 years, no taxes. The Taliban is rolling out the red carpet for India to come into Afghanistan right now and to rebuild infrastructure and to bring businesses and to help them rebuild their military. The United States left, $10 to $50 billion of equipment in Afghanistan for the Taliban. And the Taliban right now, they're going to be financed by India. How beautiful is that? India right now is basically the future of Israel. So everything the United States sends to Israel, what a nice little gift to help India out. And then George Webb can't talking about Ukraine all day. Why not mention that the previous United States ambassador to India, Richard Verma, why not just mention the fact that he was also the head of the United States State Department position to run and oversee economic recovery of Ukraine during the Biden administration? It seems as though the close associates of Modi, matter of fact, Zelensky of Ukraine, calls Modi before talking to Putin. But nobody knows this because Candace Owens is being threatened today by Macron for calling out his wife's hand size. Let's just open up, I have a whole list of videos here I just downloaded. Let's see here. No, let me open up that one. I'll actually play the video on this one here.
It was sad because many of us.
Sorry, I got a couple of
to take charge of our lives and run everything. Like right now, they got this government.
I have a lot of audio playing. I need to figure out where that one's coming from.
That's the big joke.
As Wall Street goes, so goes the nation. And here's a look at the closing stocks. Racism is up, human rights are down. Peace is shaky, war items are hot, the house cleans all times. Jobs are scarce, money is hard to come by, and common sense is at an all-time low.
Oh, I think I know where it's coming from.
A situation that still exists, and Reagan was a perfect example of what we don't need if we're really serious about this.
Do you ever just get to the point where you just have to just start closing like whole windows? You just can't. You just can't figure out where the heck the sound is coming from.
And as well.
Oh no, I didn't do it. Come on. Okay. Whew. Finally. All right. So let me come on, restart. Oh, okay. Oh, I closed all those windows I didn't need to. So this was from 2 years ago, July 15th, 2023, when the French President Emmanuel Macron broke convention for Prime Minister Modi. So French President Emmanuel Macron hosted a banquet dinner for Indian Prime Minister Modi in 2023 French National Day. The dinner was held at the Louvre, which is the first time a banquet had been held since 1953. So France held their first banquet in 70 years at the Louvre for who? Modi, for India. And, the wife is there, and, there's Modi, and then the wife that I guess Candace Owens just can't stop thinking about, what type of penis she has. What type of a role model is that for young women? We want young women to be great moms. We want young women to have the opportunity to have the self-confidence to expect, really good men in their lives. We want women to grow up with the belief in themselves and the capabilities to be successful scientists or engineers or teachers if they want to be. And instead, Candace Owens is making a role model that I guess all you need to do is put on enough face makeup and talk about penises. How disappointing. How disappointing. Anyways, why not? Of course, because all you need to do is take Candace Owens' story of the day, or the person that she says is going to kill her that day, and do a compound search of that in India. And you'll find out the news of the week and probably news of the last few years that you haven't heard about. Let's see here. This is the India Air France. This is WION.
And some breaking news coming in at this hour. India's Prime Minister has spoken with French President Emmanuel Macron, where the Indian Prime Minister on X said that both leaders reviewed and also positively assessed the progress in bilateral cooperation in various areas and also exchanged views on international and regional issues, including efforts for bringing an early end to the conflict in Ukraine.
So, France, their top strategic partner right now is India. And, of course, they just announced all of these plane sales, and they're working with India right now to allow India to customize the code on their planes. And they are working directly with India regarding the Ukraine and the Ukraine war as well. But you wouldn't hear about this from anybody else because they're all paid by Bannon and indirectly by Harvey Weinstein and with funneled money, which all does seem to have this UN-India tie. They will talk about Jeffrey Epstein. They'll talk about Israel. They'll talk about Pakistan. They'll talk about Ukraine. They'll talk about Russia, sometimes China. But they won't mention the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is, India. Now, Sri Lanka is not India, but it's Sri Lankan family and Sri Lankan intelligence that Lee Meng-yen married into. And it's India that has the world's fastest growing economy. India that has the world's largest GDP. Indian news openly talks about this. They brag that they have demographics on their side, both population and average age. Their average age is like 15 years lower than China, or 20 years lower than China. India has demographics on their side. They are boastful about it if you were to watch India news. They know all they need to wait and I guess sell enough opioids to Pakistan and the United States to kill enough young people, and they're going to win. But no one knows about it because they're all caught up in thinking about Jews and Epstein and penises. Or Islam, or whatever, or Zionists, or pastors infiltrating churches. What would be easier? To infiltrate 1,000 churches with some Zionist, military-associated psychological operation pastor, and then have to track all the names and all the influences? Or would it just be easier to pay off a few podcasters to be the voice of reason and truth for a few people, and then pump up their ratings so everyone just listens to those podcasters with money from God knows where? That's the easiest way to do it. The most direct way to infiltrate people is to pay off podcasters and then pretend that they are the most popular people in the world. Look at Candace Owens' ratings. They did the same thing with Joe Rogan. You really think that 50 million people listen to all 3.5 hours of every Joe Rogan show? I don't think so. It's a lie. They want you to listen to, they want you to think that other people are. They really want you to think. I have never in my life walked into a trade shop or a mechanic shop or a parts store ever in my life and heard Joe Rogan playing. Ever. I've never heard anyone listen to him. But somehow he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars a year? No, that's a lie. That's a lie. He's not the least interesting person in the world. He's funnier than Larry David, I think. But then again, a bag of chopped leaves is funnier than Larry David. It's easy. Dead mice are funnier than Larry David. It's almost not possible to find something less funny than Larry David. He really is the least funniest thing that has ever existed. It's funny. It's really just tragic. But anyways, I just can't believe how much news. And it's just they're running it. And America it has this blanket put over it with a couple of small holes cut in it, and all Americans can see from within the United States is just a little bit of daylight, and that blanket covers up topics such as what's really going on in Armenia right now, any type of accurate understanding of September 11th, 2001. They're totally losing the 9/11 narrative. I have started a train wreck there that should have been started a long time ago by somebody else by simply highlighting, wait, those buildings only collapsed because they were blown up. That's it. Why is everyone talking like George Webb, Pakistani hijackers, or Jason Burmis, or the rest of the ass clowns? The Pakistani hijackers, the hijackers were Pakistani, and then who let the Pakistanis in? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if 20 planes filled with, I don't know, Tyrannosaurus Rexes that you converted to radical Islam flew into the planes, with machine guns and rocket launchers. It doesn't matter. The buildings blew up. They blew up because they were wired. And who wired them? Well, it was Shashi Tharoor, the right-hand man, from India and Sri Lanka communications director of the United Nations, that was standing next to Klaus Schwab in New York City that saw the plane fly in. Why was everyone so quick to say we have to blame it on Pakistan? Really? Because when you really think about it, India seemed to have a whole lot more to gain from whatever happened on that day than Pakistan did. I'm starting to wonder why nobody has ever considered the role of India in 9/11. Everyone wants to blame Israel. What did Israel get out of it? If they were to do it, it doesn't even make any sense. Oh, and then there's that other strange thing, that COVID-19 thing, where all the evidence that it was a Chinese lab leak came out of India. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the military institutes in India even worked with an Israeli named Danny Shoham, who wrote some of the anthrax reports going all the way back to 2002. Makes it pretty clear that there was at least some intelligence cooperation between India and Israel going back then. But no one will hear about this because Candace Owens, Lee Meng-Yang, of course. Oh, that's right. Lee Meng-Yang was being interviewed by Kevin McCarran. Kevin McCarran's married to an Indian woman, I think. It doesn't, oh my goodness, it just spirals out of control. And why not, right? you have half the internet saying that Putin does it all. The other half, I guess, says that Jews and pedophiles do it all. What, am I not allowed to say maybe India has some pretty big ambitions? I'm not even mad at India. You know what's actually happening to me? The more I watch these videos, I'm actually having growing respect for India. Gosh, I wish I had a country with some balls that actually, would build more Air Force bases and create more trade deals and extend its influence. It's kind of fun watching this India news. I'm mostly disappointed at Americans that have sold out our own country. But I think we can save it. In fact, I know the opportunity, I know the potential is still there to save this country, to save my country, if you're within the United States, to save our country together. It just could not have been done without knowing what the enemy is. Otherwise, we're just shooting arrows in random directions. You hear noises and you see some lights and shadows, and you're just taking random shots. You can never know everything about your enemy, but at some point, you need to have some information. I just didn't know how badly we've all been snowed. The guest that I wanted to also highlight that Candace Owens had on. Oh, yeah, she did have Adam Carolla, too. Also, Adam Carolla, Man Show. Immediately, she go to Joe Rogan. So this would suspect that I will speculate that Candace Owens' introduction to Joe Rogan probably would have then been around 2017. Maybe 18, but 17. They've been at the same parties. Rogan is working in this network. We know that the Harvey Weinstein, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon money is there. That's how this stuff works out. It's not a surprise. It's all one show. It's all one malevolent show. The Dr. Drew and Kathy Griffin, and oh my goodness, it goes all the way back to the 1990s. Many of these people have known each other. Candace Owens, of course, she's pretty young, and they needed to recruit that new blood. But let me find that one video that I also had. Matter of fact, there's so few. It's probably going to be a unique hit. Let me just search for Candace Owens, Alex Epstein. No relation to at all. No relation to Jeffrey Epstein. Come on.
People thinking, and I'll make it even harder.
Okay, just want to try to find like a still shot there. Cool. So there's there's Alex Epstein on the right, and Candace Owens on the left. And again, Candace Owens did all these. This is April 26, 2020. That's interesting. So the pandemic has already kind of started. I wonder if they have some pandemic-y type stuff out there. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was recorded before then. Alex Epstein is hardly a household name. I don't have any statement on him, other positive or negative. He advocates a lot of. He's written a book, and he advocates for more acceptance of traditional fuels, oil and coal, and he doesn't say that climate change isn't real, but he does have a more nuanced view on it. He's obviously a pretty young person. I think he's in his 30s now. He might be close to 40. But he's been on that. I noticed the other day he was on the Tucker Carlson show, or at least a few years ago he was on the Tucker Carlson show. He's been on Fox News and so on. I don't know how he got to be considered this expert in the energy industry, but this is what podcasting is, okay? His father was named David Epstein. His father is still alive. There's not a lot of video of his father, but his father if you ever listen to any of his video, his father is a very, very good speaker. And his father was one of the top analysts in the Office of Net Assessment in the United States of America, working for Andrew Marshall, meaning that his father worked with Henry Kissinger, Wolfowitz, Goodpastor, Joshua Lederberg, and Cohen, and basically a lot of the other senior military officers, and maybe even the autopilot guy, Dov Zakheim. They all worked with his dad. His dad worked with Lederberg and Kissinger. So while it's very easy to say, oh, Epstein, and make a joke, oh, maybe he's related to Jeffrey Epstein, ha, ha, ha. I'm not saying you guys have. But his father was among the top shelf military, global resource, national security strategists in the history of the United States, or at least of the last 100 years. His father was. Now, maybe some of that that blood wound up in him as well. Again, I haven't watched him enough, but every time I see him on there, I'm always just shocked how people, they just see him as just some kid that says, hey, you know, we can still burn coal and oil. Hey, you have cool hair, and that's it. Nobody sees anything else other than that. I just find that so fascinating that the conversation never goes any further than that when I see Alex Epstein. And please, I'm not looking to say bad things about him. I'm not saying not to trust him. I'm just highlighting that and his father. If I were his father, I too, if I had some connections to help my son, if you were a successful person, and if you have the opportunity to maybe help your kid get a leg up or a good start in their career, that's what you do. That's fine. No, this is the way the world works. I get it. But it's just the fact that it never comes up. And I think it also highlights how big of a deal podcasting is. A few years ago, I thought, I bet you his dad was probably pretty disappointed. He could be the CEO of a company. He could patent a technology, and there he is with a microphone making podcasts. Come on, grow up, man. And now I'm realizing, wow, the world is ruled through podcasts. Most people don't even know what their governor or their senator or their representative says on a daily basis anymore. All they know is what their favorite podcaster said. Their favorite podcaster who's paid by anonymous money. Anonymous money. We don't know where it came from because Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, they were just too smart for 10,000 years of Rothschilds who ran the banks around the world. I guess we'll just never figure it out. We have no idea who pays these podcasters. They just show up and they're our friends. And we should listen to them because other podcasters who also get their money from anonymous sources say we should listen to them and trust them. Just look at the chat. Look at the Candace Owens chat. Every third message is, Candace, you are awesome. You are the most honest person that has ever existed. A picture of you will be in the dictionary next to honesty. Thank you for everything you do and everything you sacrifice. I wish I had an extra kidney to sell to give you money, Candace Owens. Candace Owens, if Jesus Christ comes back to the earth, the first thing that he's going to do is show up on your door and say, thank you, Candace Owens, for bringing everyone back to God and showing everyone how to be truthful and full of love and concern for each other. Thank you, Candace Owens. Look at her chat message. In my entire life, I have never once sent a chat message like that. Every once in a while, I'll get on John the Cooey show. Hey, Jay, thanks for the shout out. I will never get in Jonathan's chat, Jonathan, John, I wish you had 3 more wives so you could have 40 more kids. Jonathan, you're the most amazing human that ever lived. You're so smart and so handsome. I wish I could sell everything I had and give it to you, Jonathan. You're the most amazing person that's ever lived, Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan, for all of your sacrifices. Jonathan Cooey's one of my best friends. I would never type bullshit like that into a chat. Shouldn't it be obvious that it's total bullshit that winds up in these chat messages? I get, sometimes you guys say, hey, thanks for what you do at the end, and I watch them. It feels good. It's nice. I appreciate it. But if someone were in my chat every 10 seconds being like, thank you, Mark, for being the beacon of hope that's going to save the world, I would probably block them and be like, what's up with this asswipe? That's just not natural. How can you even listen to me if you're just writing stuff like that all the time? It's bullshit, and it's put out there so other people go, wow, I guess Candace is the real deal. And if Candace Owens was never born, and I don't wish that to be the case, of course, someone else would have filled the role. It's not about Candace Owens. It's not about Candace Owens. But you can learn about what's happening by studying her timeline and how she was used, how her ambition has been used. Okay, it's really not about her. It's really not about any of these people in particular. These systems, these machines are bigger than any of us. Okay, if there was no, if Tucker never existed, there would be someone else in that role, sort of maybe doing it differently, looking differently. Maybe there would be someone else in there in that role. Okay, it's not really about them, but at some point, certain people are going to fill these roles, and that has been what has happened. My kidneys are on eBay right now. Thank you, Fletch. Oh, you guys are good. You guys are good. Oh, you guys are good. So the I don't know how many of our older videos I will watch. Maybe a few. It's to be expected. These are all training. These are all coaching her, getting her ready. I don't know. I don't believe that at this point in 2019, there was a plan for Charlie Kirk to be exited. That decision seems to have been made sometime this year. Like 3 or 4 months before. You can, what they do is they start to then seed metadata to suggest a conspiracy, right? So I think the new thing right now is someone like, wow, look, Israel started to Google search for the medical examiner in Utah 2 or 3 months before the assassination. And again, I'm thinking, all right, okay, guys, wait. So I'm supposed to believe that the incredibly Zionist, super Zionist Jews that rule the world and control the chips and control all the technology out of Israel, they control all the computers, all the searches, they control everything and all the banks and all the money and all the people and all the governments, and they can do anything, anywhere, anyhow. We're too stupid to use a VPN and make it look like they were doing the Google outside of Israel? Are you shitting me? I'm that stupid? You really expect me to believe that? And now the thing with this other shooter in the United States, really? The Google searches came out of Alabama? Really? So you can make a missile that goes into space and hits I don't know, a restaurant on the other side of the planet with some, mystery technology that causes a whole city to disappear. But you're too stupid to use a VPN to make it look like the search happened from an office other than your home office. Really? and you don't even save the result. So you do the Google search from the location you shouldn't be doing it several thousand times to cause a blip on Google Analytics. And then the analysts, the researchers, the citizen journalists, they're not citizen journalists, they're paid journalists paid by really global governance money, untraceable through PayPal, probably from UN, India, and other international interests. This is Ian Carroll. This is Candace Owens. This is why they won't never say the name Shashi Tharoor. They won't say India. They won't speculate on the role of India on 9/11. They won't call out India's role with respect to the opioid epidemic. Even though it's a little odd that the only nation that has the worst drug problem in the United States is incredibly conveniently Pakistan. And there's even an Indian national running the National Institutes of Health in the United States of America that won't even recognize the opioid epidemic. How's them apples? How's them curry apples for you? And if suggesting that Jayanta Bhattacharya smells like curry even though you're 200 feet away from him, if that little racial fact upsets you more than the fact that we had 1 million drug overdose deaths in the United States of America, I may suggest that your priorities on what you should be worried about is a little effed up. Matter of fact, I hope I get on some watch list right now for saying, oh my goodness, Mark Kulak of Housatonic.live is calling out the smell of Indian food. And he says that we should be talking about it because he actually thinks that people should give a damn about the opioid epidemic that killed 1 million people. Oh, what kind of a human being is he? Event strategies, JSIC planners gave a turning point, $300K on September 10th, 2024. Given the date, I can't help but think that is when they started. I believe they started beforehand. They started before that, Vindy. Now, that's actually pretty late. On the... Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You know what it is, Vindy? I did the math wrong in my head. When you said September 10th, 2024, for some reason my head thought January 6th happened on September 11th, 2024. I talk about so many things that happened the day before 9/11. I apologize for that. That's actually what I meant. They gave Turning Point $300K on September 10th, 2024. Why September 10th? So that means it happened before then. Because it's clear. Yeah, it's clear that they want it to look like Israel killed Charlie Kirk. So wait. So Israel is going to leave sloppy metadata around that they killed Charlie Kirk, and then Israel is going to create a situation which allows millions of people talk all day long, nonstop, about how Israel killed Charlie Kirk. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I guess Israel didn't do it anymore because now Candace Owens thinks that Macron wants to kill her because he doesn't like the fact that she is, saying bad things about the hands of his wife or whatever. Again, it's just another way. Look at the title of the show, How to Decode Candace Owens to know what's really happening. Take what she's talking about that day, take the metadata, take the Ian Carroll metadata, and start doing compound searches with India. Not all the time, but at least 50% of the time, sometimes as much as 90% of the time, you'll start learning things about what's happening in the world that they don't want you to talk about. These arms deals and these technology transfers between France and India are massive. No one talks about it right now because Candace Owens wants you to think about the penis on the wife of Macron. You don't think Macron knows that that's part of the game here? Of course he knows that. That's how you get the heat off of India. You have a young, attractive American podcasters just talk about Macron, Israel, Jew, Epstein, penis. Macron, penis, 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 Macron, Epstein. They're trying to kill me. And then you have a lot of fake, laundered money, fake accounts, pump her up. And also, by the way, you do know that her show isn't live, right? You do know that her show isn't live. She reads comments at the end. You know how that's done? She pre-records her whole show. I do this professionally right now. I can find cuts in her videos. So sometimes she misspeaks. They cut out the extra stuff. They actually script, how would you say, chat messages for her that are going to allow her to build on the narrative of the day. They pre-script them. And then they pre-script her response. And they record all of it, and then they edit it. And then what they do is they call a live premiere. So while what you're seeing looks like a live stream, it's actually only playing minute to minute, as if it's live, but it's basically a live premiere. Sort of like watching, if you turn on the TV, okay, if you watch a movie that's premiering on, public broadcasting, okay, everyone at 8 o'clock at night watches the start. At 8:10, everyone is watching 10 minutes into the live premiere. You can't fast forward. It's live streaming the premiere. And during the live streaming of the premiere of her pre-recorded video, someone then gets in the chat and then re-enters the question that she will then later answer to make it look like she is responding to something that's live. That is how deep the deception is, folks. She's not reading live comments. It's only orchestrated to make it look like she is responding to live comments. And sometimes people will spend an extra $50 or $100, money which they could have given to a grandchild to maybe help a grandchild pay off a little bit of student debt. You imagine that? Can you imagine? There are grandparents right now with extra money that they could be giving to their own grandkids to help them maybe get started. And they are some, I'm not saying this is the majority of them, please, but they are actually spending extra on super chats thinking that it's going to get to Candace Owens. That is screwing people, folks. That is really screwing people. I'm not even sure Candace Owens is aware of all of this stuff, by the way. She's an employee. She's hired. She's the face of it. Maybe I shouldn't always say Candace Owens is the liar and the traitor. She's doing a job. If it wasn't for her, someone else would be doing it. But it is what it is. The thing is, she could have the live comment replay enabled, because you would see someone then re-enters questions during her live premiere at a time before she will then later read it, making it look like she's responding to the live stream, but she's actually doing a live premiere. It is now, it doesn't show up as a live premiere, okay, but because there's a way on YouTube you can upload a video and then it will automatically live premiere for you, and it says it's a live premiere. What Candace Owens does is they record the whole thing, and then the live stream is actually them playing what has been recorded already. So it doesn't show that it's recorded. It is very, very deceptive what's happening. Now, I got no problem with doing a recorded live premiere. That's fine. And I'm not even really sure it's necessary to say that it's pre-recorded. I'm not upset about that. What I am upset about it, though, is that there's this suggestion that she's responding to live comments. And the belief that she's responding to live comments results in people spending thousands and thousands. I suspect somewhere right now between $10,000 to $50,000 a show are going into super chats, thinking that they're going to target her. Please note, they're not doing that so that they can get money for themselves. They can launder whatever money they need or resources they need through PayPal. They're doing that so that money cannot find Jonathan Cooey or myself. Their job, they can get all the money they need. They can print out an extra million whenever they need it. They're doing it to starve the system of any oxygen that could find an actual independent. That's the job. This is not some sneaky way for me to say I need more money. Okay. This is me helping you see what we have figured out. They actually pay podcasters and promote them artificially and to set up more opportunities to grab more money to make it harder and harder for independents to work. Their job is to leave nothing. There can be no risk of an independent getting any oxygen. There can be no risk. You must get every effing penny out there. That is how the system works. Rule by podcast. Podcasts are evil. They are evil. And here I am as a podcaster. We'll figure our way out of this, guys. All right. That's my show for tonight. I did not expect that to go an hour 37. I didn't even do an intro. It doesn't matter. My name is Mark Kulak, KULACZ. This is Housatonic.live. It is now December 2nd, 2025. I worked in the tech industry for 23 years. I live up in the northeastern part of the United States of America. It was drug addiction and chronic illness that got me into this drug addiction really more than anything else. And well, here we are in our 7th year. I know I have the largest freely available archive right now, made possible by people who support me. P.O. Box 505, Southborough, Massachusetts. I do have an online budget sheet, which is definitely outdated. I need to take a few days off this month and work on the budget and get caught up in the emails that I said I would, but I haven't yet. And what else? I don't know. I think that's enough. Enough of this blah, blah, blah. I got to sleep, and I'm going to be amped a little bit for right now. How do these people live with themselves? It's a job, I guess. I don't know. I can just imagine where some of the data storage systems that I worked on in my life, what they were used for. I didn't know. I don't know. Tell you what, the less you know, the easier it is to do the work. That's for sure. All right, guys, and thank you for not going. I love you. You're the best. You're the best. No one's ever broadcasted so much truth. You're incredible. Thank you for being awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much. Episode 141, 1415, I guess, or 1416. Have a great night. Take care. Love you all, and God bless.